Fighting games allow us to take control of martial artists and utilize fighting styles, both real and fictional. However, let's take advantage of the fact that we're in a video game and go way beyond the boundaries of reality. So you know what you would never find in a martial arts tournament in real life? Vampires. You know, the monsters that traditionally lurk in the night, suck blood, control and turn into bats, and much more. In this video, I'll be discussing my favorite vampires that have appeared on the rosters of fighting games, looking at how well they fit the motif of being a creature of the night, based on their appearance, moveset, and backstory. So grab a refreshing glass of blood that's actually just cranberry juice, and join me in counting down the top 10 vampires in fighting games. Number 10. Arquaid Brunstud from Melty Blood. She's a modern vampire who controls her impulse for blood so she can walk among the heroes. That was nice of her. With Melty Blood being the continuation of a visual novel, she has a lot of anime backstory that I will not go into. For her vampire powers, nothing super traditional since she's more of a benevolent vampire with a conservative sweater and skirt outfit, but she does have those red glowing eyes to show that she is on the supernatural side. For her moveset, she mostly claw swipes and teleports at you, but if you want something a little more wild on the vampire side, her alternate form, Retiquade, is basically an evil Ryu type character, showing what would happen if she were to drink some of that sweet blood and become full-on vampire. Off the look alone, she's got the completely red eyes, spiked hair, and sharp teeth you may expect from a crazed vampire. Number 9. Eliza from Tekken. Remember that time Tekken had a vampire? With her only appearance as of this video being in Tekken Revolution, she never appeared in a normal Tekken game since Revolution was a stat-based, free-to-download fighting game with standard Tekken mechanics. Design-wise, she's interesting. She has horns and lots of blood red color in both her dress and roses. Though she's about one set of wings away from looking like a character with the devil gene. Eliza has some interesting vampire-themed moves in her repertoire, most notably her undefined vampire blasts, bats appearing as her hit sparks, sucking her opponent's blood as a throw, classic, and narcolepsy. Focusing on the latter two, when she sucks her opponent's blood, their body dries up, which means she's taking a lot of blood. That glutton. As for her other character trait, she falls asleep during the match, which recovers a little bit of health for her and relates to her backstory. The reason she's awake in today's time period is she went to sleep in her coffin for just a nap 1 century ago, but accidentally fell asleep for 100 years. Classic Eliza! Number 8. Shenko from Darkstalkers, also known as Lele in Japan. About time we see a character from a franchise with vampire in its name in Japan. However, unlike other vampires on this list, she is based off vampires from Chinese lore, the Jiangshi. These vampires are not about sucking blood as much as they are for absorbing your life energy or chi. They walk with their arms out and hop as a method of mobility, hence Shenko's strange stance. A big reason Shenko has no interest in absorbing chi is because she retains her humanity due to her sister transforming into the wallpaper on her forehead. Yup, Shenko is actually two different characters with the sister Mei Ling, heightening Shenko's power and keeping them both in check. As for Shenko's moveset, it's mostly a game of what's up my sleeve. The answer? Everything. Because this is Capcom in the 90s, expect plenty of references to some other Capcom games used as projectiles Shenko throws from her sleeves. Final note, since the term Jiangshi embodies vampires, ghosts, and zombies, Shenko shows lots of ghostly and zombie abilities, like walking on air and phasing through things, and even has referred to herself as a Chinese ghost in the English translation. Since she displays attributes of all three horror-themed creatures, I like to consider her a 3-in-1 package. Number 7. Dracula from Castlevania Judgment. How could you go wrong with an iteration of the most famous vampire out there? This game had some gimmicks like Wii motion controls to wield your weapon or defend, and a plethora of interactable objects on each stage for attacks. As for Dracula, he's, well, Castlevania's Dracula. Have you ever wanted to take control of the final boss from the original Castlevania? Now here's your chance. He's pretty accurate to the original game. He teleports and lifts his cape to release various fireballs, just like the original Castlevania. He also has a good amount of armor in some cases to go along with his history of being a final boss. It's the most fun you'll have standing in one place. Or not, I generally enjoy more mobile characters. Number 6. Mira from Killer Instinct. Mira loves using blood. She embraces that trait the most with her vampire lifestyle. However, it wasn't always coffins and bats for Mira. She's the sister of Maya and was trained to be an expert hunter just like her sister. On a mission to kill a bunch of vampires, Mira saves Maya from death, but ends up dying herself. However, the one thing she was out to kill gave her life once more, so Mira embraced her new vampire being. For her blood-related moves, sure she'll bite you to suck blood as with most vampires, but she uses her own blood as a weapon. Those silver cloud-like designs around her are not just for aesthetic. That's her blood under the effects of her gloves of Rasa Vatham. Ooh, that's a name. It turns her blood into basically liquid metal and allows it to be hardened to make weapons. When she's not using blood or viciously slashing you, she attacks you with her blood seekers, which is just her fancy word for bats. However, these not bats were actually formed with the help of her gloves, so maybe that did give reason for a new name after all. Number 5. Rachel Alucard from BlazBlue. She has a certain trope of vampires right in her name. When you spell it backwards, it makes the word Lekar, also Dracula. She's the upper crust leader of the Alucard family and is immensely powerful with her vampire abilities. That being said, this is another character that hates her vampire urges. She is not interested in those blood-sucking shenanigans, except for this one time with Ragna after he got his arm cut off and she had to save his life, but she probably doesn't want you talking about that incident since she secretly admires him for his strength. It's best just to let her be nonchalant about her relationship with him. Her former job was being an onlooker of all events in all timelines of the world before she decided to join the battle with the trade-off of weakening her magic powers. Her fighting abilities are pretty vast regardless. She uses sorcery to harness some elements like wind, and uses others to fight for her, like her cat that acts as a parasol and many other objects, and her frog buddy named George the 13th. Number 4. Nitara from Mortal Kombat. Nitara combines the attributes of a few different types of vampires. I like her wings, outfit, and really overall design. She was first playable in Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, where her most notable attack was firing blood balls at you, which is counterproductive since she needs that blood to survive. But it's okay because it's like an investment. You might as well use it if you have a blood surplus. Plus, if she beats you, she can perform her fatality, Feast of Blood. That explains how she makes up for all the lost blood in battle. There's even an in-game explanation on why she can fight in stages with sunlight despite being a vampire. Apparently, only Earthrealm sun harms vampires, but not the sun from these Outworld stages. The out-of-game explanation is Midway wants to design stages in the sunlight and a mere vampire trope will not stop them. She also has expert deception skills going by the game's story. Ironically, she was not playable in Mortal Kombat Deception. Nitara needs a portal orb to separate the realm of vampires from Outworld, so she tricks Reptile into being her henchman, which he's probably used to at this point, and gets him to damage Cyrex's device that teleports him home. Therefore, he'd be able to help Nitara get the orb, so she could help him get home. She should be glad to know that this cyborg allied with the Special Forces doesn't question any of the scary vampire lady's motives. He doesn't actually have to since she's neutral and doesn't care about the main game's conflict though. Then she restores her realm and everyone is happy until Mortal Kombat Armageddon forces her to fight once more. For the last time, but hopefully not. Number 3. Raphael from Soul Calibur. Raphael is an example that the Soul Edge can basically do anything. Besides causing characters to go insane, giving them scary demon arms, and preventing aging, it has the authority to turn its victim into a vampire. I didn't realize that just kind of happens, but I guess you have to start somewhere when there are no other vampires around. When we first meet Raphael in Soul Calibur 2, he's a normal man with a fencing sword. However, after his run-in with Soul Edge and Nightmare, he becomes a normal vampire with a fencing sword. This is rarely outright stated since they keep it subtle with his skin getting paler and the occasional vampire trait of biting his opponent and sucking their blood. I mean, he is definitely a canon vampire, he just does not tout it. The only notable times you see him suck blood are in his throw and Soul Calibur 4 critical finish. His life as a vampire in the story more relates to Soul Calibur and Soul Edge, wanting the world to be malfested with him. Though it's not because he wants to share his gift with the world, but rather to make the world a better place for his adopted daughter Amy. Raphael is not exactly a bad guy, he's more misled. Maybe it was because of Soul Edge, or maybe that's just how he is with or without vampire powers. Either way, if you look at Amy, you can tell she probably does not want the world to be malfested. Raphael may be a good parent in other areas, but not when it comes to giving gifts. Happy birthday, Amy. The world is now on fire, all just for you.
Come on, Dad, really? I just said I wanted a magic 8-ball this year.
Oh, whoops. Number 2, Slayer from Guilty Gear. Slayer is probably the best combination of vampire cliches and things you don't normally see from vampires. For example, he was born on Halloween, is from Romania, and sucks blood to restore health. On the other hand, though, he seems to have a loving relationship not based on deceit, is not a big fan of sucking his opponent's blood, and writes haikus. While there are some other vampires that have those latter attributes, Slayer is not a character I would expect to have the former attributes because he's not a character I would really think to be a vampire just judging by appearance. Well, until he pulls out his wings and demonic aura. It's partially due to the fact that half of his moveset is simply based on being a gentleman, with incredible brute strength. How is he a classy gentleman in battle? Well, he has a move called the Dandy Step, cause he's a dandy man. Or how about a move where he blows smoke in your face from his pipe? And you cannot ignore his instant kill where he punches you into orbit as he writes a haiku about your life. Not moves I'd expect from a vampire, but ones I would expect from a grade A gentleman. For number 1, I'm going with a vampire that's as close to a fighting game version of Dracula as you can get without actually having Dracula himself in a fighting game. Number 1, Dmitri Maximov from Darkstalkers. I discussed his backstory in one of my Halloween videos last year on parodies of Dracula, but I'll give a brief recap on his history. Dmitri was in a power struggle with his archenemy Belial Aisling, fighting over the throne of the Makai, or the Demon Dimension. But Belial managed to gain the throne and drastically injure Dmitri in a fight. So 100 years later, Dmitri returned, stronger, without any weaknesses to sunlight from being exiled to the human world during that time period. However, during that century, Belial died, so his succubus daughter Morgan took the throne, along with Dimitri's public view as the main character and many spots in Capcom crossover fighting games over him. Now the two fight for all eternity, or until Darkstalkers 4 comes out. So yeah, eternity. Dmitri has a bulk of vampire-themed attacks, turning into bats, sucking blood for nourishment, and one of the most unique moves in fighting game history, Midnight Bliss. Dmitri takes out a rose, grabs his opponent Raging Demon style, says "come on baby," turns them female if applicable, sucks their blood, and blows a kiss as he backs away. If his opponent is male, he will gender swap them and suck their blood. If they are female, he turns them into an alternate version of themselves, or something completely different. The reason he has this attack is because he thinks the blood from an attractive lady tastes better. I'm not sure if he can just turn characters into females or can transform opponents into anything else and just chooses females. Either way, I feel these powers are drastically overlooked. Well, the context of a lot of Darkstalkers attacks get neglected, but that's an analysis for another video. Anyway, Dmitry Maximov. He's suave and a bit creepy. So what do you think? Who are some of your favorite fighting game vampires that may or may not have appeared on this list? Do they have a name as ambiguous as Shenko's? One game the announcer says Shinko, then in another it says Shenko. Make up your mind, Capcom. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next video.